and I just started the recording so I don't forget. So this will be recorded, so if you want to watch it back or want to share it with anybody, we will be walking through for the next 45 minutes-ish, walking through some of the productivity tools. All of them are in the planner. So if you have your planner, that'll definitely be supported. If you don't have one of my Goal Getter planners, there are things that you can do and add into your normal planner. That's what I did until I created this. So first off, I want to thank all of you for supporting me because that's so huge. Little background on this planner and how it was created. I had been doing these practices for a while and then started next level trainings and was like, I need to get into it. The best way for me to do that is to have a planner that has them all. And I searched and nothing quite did it. And then I found this printer that was able to work with me and really get everything down on the page. The first time I created this was last year for 2020, not expecting what would come of 2020, and sold 25 of them. This year, 100 people have a planner, which is huge, huge, huge. And a big reason why I've decided to start doing a lot of other stuff as far as courses and coaching and everything else is all started with like this one little project that now is blown up. So thank you guys again. It meant the world to me. And I'm so glad to see all your lovely faces. I know not everybody can get on camera. That is perfectly fine. Most of us will just be walking through conceptually, and then we'll dive into a little bit more in any questions that you guys have. So without further ado, we will go ahead and dive in. The first practice that was really, really important to me and to make sure that it was included in the planner was the goal getting pages. So at the beginning of each month, you have a goals page that has various different segments. Again, if you don't have this planner, this is something that I used to do with a big sticky note, and I would just put it in the front of my planner on top of my monthly page, and I would write them there. These have specific categories that hit a bunch of the different like domains of your life. So you'll see health, finance, me time, social, dream big, home. All of those are each month at the beginning of the month. I go in and I declare a goal. It's not necessarily a goal that I'm going to complete that month, but it's a goal that I want to take action steps towards. So one of my goals last year was to financially to have $1,000 in my savings account. And that wasn't something that I saw myself hitting in a month, but it was something I was able to make progress towards throughout the year. And by writing it down at the beginning of each month, that then allowed me to take inventory of where I'm at and what, like, have I been making steps towards that? What's next?
You're muted.
Kelsey, you got muted.
yourself, Kelsey.
Thank you. I also found myself on that page. Some months there were specific courses or projects that I wanted to make sure that I was focusing on. And I sometimes would just change the title of it. So I had a business course that I was doing that I put in my Dream Big box because that was a huge focus for that 3-month period. Again, making sure that whatever I got to complete that month, maybe it was what the concentration was for that month, was in that box for me to pay attention to it. Also on that page, you will see at the bottom, there's a little habit tracker. So it has blocks for each week. This is not dated. So you can mark it up however, but what I recommend for that is putting in something that either you want to add to your life. So I had shakes and I wanted to at least have a shake a day. And that was a huge thing for me. So I would make sure that each day I would do my shake and I would mark it off, which ended up being a cool little like reward, like checking things off your to-do list. But it was like first thing in the day, great, I did that. Or I did my morning routine, I meditated. 1 month, it was the end of the day, I would mark it off if I drank the water that I wanted to drink. So if I met the ounces, I would mark it off. If I didn't, it's also a big enough spot that you can make a note in there. So for me, I'd put, oh, I did 30 ounces instead of 60 ounces, whatever that number might be. That's a space for you to do that. So again, this is a space for either you to add something or if there's something you want to remove. So if you want to quit smoking this year and you want that to be in your habit tracker, you can then mark at the end of the day when you're like, great, I did not smoke today. Or if you slipped up, you can put, okay, I smoked 2 cigarettes and have that accountability as well of like where you're at with relation to that habit or that goal. And again, those are on the monthly, so that it's at the beginning of each month for you to be able to walk through that. I don't think anybody on this call got the daily planner because I did that for a team. For those of you who did get that, if you're watching the replay, there's also a quarterly version of this page that just has an extra set of boxes for your business goals. And that's an option I'll probably do for everybody next year. I'll also have it available next quarter because we just did 3 months. So keep an eye out for that. Next, we have just the standard monthly view. There's nothing too crazy here as far as innovative or like huge. However, this is probably one of the most important pages for me when it comes to planning ahead, so planning my month. So I'll show you an example from my planner this year, just so you have an idea. So I go in and I color code it so I know when blocks of time are taken up. Like if I'm traveling for work, it'll be one color. If I'm in Columbus for next level things, it'll be a different color. If it's a course, I'll write things on the side whenever it's that week. So I know that this is the course that I'm focusing on that week, or this is what I'm trying to get done. I'll write that in there too. I also, my favorite thing is I mark off the days that I'm off work. Like I make those very prominent so it's something for me to look forward to whenever I have PTO coming. And it allows my brain to be like, okay, what do I get to do this day? And be very intentional about how I spend that time, especially right now, because it's not like I'm taking it off to go somewhere, but now I know that that's a block that I get to either do with my family or go on a mini day trip somewhere, whatever that looks like. And I am all about color coding, and you'll see this here coming up too, because you'll see that I have like pink, which was all for work travel stuff, because this is when I was traveling at that time. And if it was specific to like next level things, I made all of that orange. If it was a personal mastermind, I made those yellow. And those remained the same through the year. Once you get into the actual weekly pages is where a lot of that goal setting and weekly tracking actually gets more in depth. So one practice that I do every week and has made the biggest difference in my year is I set 3 priorities. So these are 3 things, no matter how big or small they are, 3 things that if I get those 3 things done that week, I celebrate. And that's what in the planner is in the top right. So 3 things, no matter the size. Some weeks, it's just me taking out the trash. Like, this bag's been sitting here all weekend, I need to take it out. And then I take it out and I check it off. It's great. But it allows you to really dial down your week into the things that you can hold yourself accountable to. And 3 is a really manageable number for me. Again, the size is up to you. If there's a big project that you have a deadline to get done, whether that's personal or a work deadline, that's a place that you can put those bigger projects to. Also, you'll see at the bottom of each day, there are 5 bullet points. There's a lot of different things that you can do with those bullet points. What I do or what it was intended for, is for gratitude. So you can either do that at the beginning or at the end of your day. Find a blank page. So you can either do it at the beginning or the end of your day, 5 things that you're grateful for. For the beautiful souls that were in my last self-care course, what I highly recommend for those is 3 of them can be whatever comes to your mind, like whatever you are grateful for that pops, write those down. But I am very intentional about 2 of those thoughts. One of them is something that is seemingly mundane. So I am grateful for the lights being on. I'm grateful for the water flowing through my house. I am grateful for fill in the blank. This other one is something I am grateful for about me. Something that I'm grateful for about myself and who I be, or maybe it's something I did for myself, but very much a focus on your own worth and what that looks like. So I highly encourage you guys to do the same. That little tweak in my morning gratitude made all the difference. And that's what these spots down here are for. One thing I did find myself doing, though, is this can also be used as a little checklist, or if there's evening things that you need to get done after 8 o'clock, that's also a good space for that. I do have another journal that I do bigger gratitude things in, but this can be, it's pretty versatile. The other thing on this page is that you'll see a blank box. So this box is a quote of the week. So if something stood out in a podcast I was listening to, or a book I was reading, or a training I was in, I'll write it there, and then that's my kind of intention for that week. Whatever stands out to you, normally it stands out to you for a reason. So I really wanted a space to be able to write those down. And this also can be used, I know Patrick is on, but he was talking about whenever he pulls his intention in tarot or oracle cards for the week, you could also put that there. Or a message that came out of that. But it's meant to be that kind of guiding principle for your week. And then, as I said, I like colors. It makes it a lot easier for me to see where my time is going. So I love a good highlighter. I mark it all up. Whether you want to fill in the box or mark around it, it allows me, again, to see if I'm seeing mostly pink. So for this one, pink is next level things. I put myself a little like legend up in the top. Or this big purple box is something that is my life and is like what fills me up. It's called my bliss time. So there is nothing scheduled in this box. Nothing. I get to this time and I sit and I ground myself and I just listen to my body and what it wants to do. And that is what this time is. And it's zero judgment of what comes out of that time. There are a lot of times, maybe not a lot, but many times that has ended up being me sitting in front of the TV, just like mindlessly watching a series or a movie. And again, zero judgment because my body needed to relax. That's also been going on a walk. That's been going and surprising my niece and spending some family time. Like, it's not necessarily always alone, but it's time that I guard with my life. Just as if I scheduled that time, I'll use my niece again. If I scheduled that time with Grace, I wouldn't touch it because she knows that this is the time that Aunt Kelsey is coming over. I treat it with the same respect. If somebody asks if I'm busy, yes, I am busy. That is the time that is set aside for me. And nobody's going to ask you what, like, very little does people ask, what are you doing? Like, why can't you hang out with me? Because they respect their own time like that. They just might not have blocks of blank space like I do. And I make sure that those are really known. What I challenged as part of the self-care accelerator is to start with 15 minutes to build this practice and then keep adding time. I now block a minimum of 2 hours a week, as much as 8. Just block it off. And then, and then I have like, all of my things are now on one calendar. So there's work things. This also, and this is something I'll talk about in the productivity 3-week course. This also translates directly over to my Google Calendar. So the colors I use on here is also what I use on my Google Calendar, because you can actually color code those. So then when I'm looking at my phone, I'm seeing the same thing as when I'm looking at my planner. And I do a true up probably once or twice a week, at least once. And for me, this weekly process of scheduling and getting everything into one place, I do on Sundays. It's just part of my practice to go in and look at my week, see what I'm up to, also have an idea of what my to-dos are for the week, and make sure that they're scheduled in. And all of this happens normally I block an hour, and I make it an event.
To try it.
I get food, I treat myself to whatever beverage I want, and I sit down and I plan my week. And it's become something that I look forward to. And if I don't do it, I know it, because that has me dancing in the realm of overwhelm. Because all of a sudden something's come up that's on one calendar, not on the other, or that randomly showed up in my week. And by doing this, that's reduced that significantly. It also, again, gives me an idea of where my time is going. So I know that if I'm seeing mostly green on the page, that's a crazy work week, and I'm overdue for a bliss day or time for myself. So I highly recommend colors and like really blocking that off so you can see it. And then the new addition this year is the budget tracker. And this was something that I put in my planner last year, but I didn't put in all of them. And it really breaks it down in a manageable way for you to see what money is coming in, and you can put multiple different sources. You can also list all of your bills out. So where is the money going out? And then there is a spot to put what you've transferred into savings and where. So if you have holiday savings account, vacation savings account, emergency fund, this is where that gets to be tracked. And then at the bottom, it has you do a true up of what came in, what went out, and where are you at for your month. So you can see whether you tapped into your savings or whether you added to your savings as far as the whole month is concerned. Full disclosure, this was in my planner last year. I did not use it, and it was obvious. So that for me, it was really important that I put it in again because I get to use it personally. I also color code this because why not? And I'll highlight the week, like the paycheck, or if I know that I have money coming in, a check coming in a certain day, I'll highlight it a certain color, and then I'll highlight what bills I'm going to pay with it. So then I can really figure out what money I have left. And I do that at the beginning of each week. Since this is mostly high level bills, I use the note pages that are also included in here for anything else that I know is an expense that's not necessarily a recurring bill. So if I know that I'm going on a girls' day, like I know that I need to set money aside for that. If I had a random payment come up that I need to make, last year I got a parking ticket that went on this page just as a like, hey, this is something that's out of the norm of your normal budgeting, and it's here. What I used to do is I had an Excel spreadsheet that I basically did this in, and it was great, but it was another place that I had to go into to look. So this year, all of it's in one place to really get a grip around where your money is, where it's going, and see it before it gets out of it, like before the money comes out of your account, like see where it gets to go. Another thing that I'm going to be going over I have a 3-month course starting in January, is something called Money Dates, which similar to the planning date that I have each week, bi-weekly, I'll sit down and I'll plan an hour to look at my money. And I'll go into really what that looks like, but it's a block of time that I set aside specifically for this budget planner and for what's going on and where my money went. And then that's the layout for every month. And it's really the practice that I was able to build in a normal planner through the use of sticky notes, through my gratitude journal, and then it just all got poured into one place so that it can travel and go with me wherever I go. Does anybody have any questions about the planner or a practice that I brought up? No, perfect. Oh, Rachel.
Quick question. I'm curious what you typically use the notes section for.
Yeah, so one of the things I use it for is any like miscellaneous expenses. I also, if something inspiration strikes while I'm I'll make a note in there as well. I historically have had a lot of driving time, and that's normally when things like will pop into my head of things that I want to do or something I want to focus on, or maybe something I hear in a podcast. So I'm able to have this whenever I stop and just have it in front of me and make those notes there. I also have a running list of books that I wanted to read. I have right now I have a Christmas list. So I have each person and I write what I got them so I don't buy 5 things for the same person because I forgot I bought them something. It's really whatever additional things you want to throw in there.
Hey, Kelsey. I just want to say fan-freaking-tastic job. And you have truly thought of everything and put everything into this one little package, and all the ideas were super helpful. So thank you. Did want to bring your attention to a question in the chat from Julia about how this has changed your life.
How this has changed my life?
Hey, Carly.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, so it really has led me to be in complete self-awareness of what I'm up to. One of the biggest focuses for me last year was all around self-worth and self-trust especially. And by allowing this resource to be where I'm putting things down, and once it's written, I specifically write in pen, so I'm not as likely to move things around. And it holds me accountable to where I'm spending my time, how I'm spending it, making sure I have time for myself, and being in relationship with my money, which is my biggest focus for the second half of this year and going into next year. Thanks for letting me know, Carly.
Hey, I do have one question.
Yeah.
As someone who works like 8 to 5, that's a lot of highlighting in the big
Yeah.
chunk of time. Would you recommend maybe like instead of just saying like work, like would you recommend breaking that up? Because I said that, I'm at a desk and actually for the first 4 months I'll probably be working 8 to 8, honestly. And so that's all time.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on how to use that space?
Yeah, so I would highlight anything that's not work. So if you have a lunch date in the middle of your day or you're setting aside time for yourself, I would highlight that and just let work be one color. Because I don't know about you, but for me, I primarily during my workday, I'm looking at Outlook. So this is really just allowing me outside of that time to be able to see what's going on with my schedule. And if there's like there's normally a random 2 p.m. mastermind call that shows up in the week. And it also allows me to like really point that out, knowing that I'm working and figuring out whether I can then take a lunch to be able to do both, or just a reminder that it's something I get to catch up on later by realizing that it's in there.
Cool, thanks. Actually, I'm kind of excited to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and this is a very like high level of these practices that I do. I'm going to be doing a deeper dive over the next 3 weeks at the same time, but it'll be 90 minutes. The first week, so starting next week on the 8th, 8 o'clock to 9:30, is going to be talking about how to manage your schedule digitally. Because like I said, I transition this into my Google Calendar, into my Outlook sometimes. So how to really manage that and make sure that you're setting aside that time to really build out your schedule, because that also allows me to have it on my phone whenever I'm not carrying around my planner. Because I don't carry it around all the time. As much as I would love to, it's small, but it's too big for that. So how to set that up and really manage them both and do it in a easeful way and not like, again, getting into the overwhelm of the whole thing. And how that looks to do it online, because I know a lot of people don't use Google Calendar like that. This is also how I manage my schedule with other people. So I have a Google Calendar that I share with my family. I have one that I shared with my significant other. And then it's not them asking me. I mean, your mom will still ask you what you're up to, even if it's on the calendar, but at least you can say it was out there. But you can share it with as many people as possible. So tips like that will be what we go into next week. The following week is going to be a schedule cleanse. So really looking at where you're spending your time, what is getting your attention, is that in line with the goals that you're putting in each month, and going through a visioning process for what a week would look like, and also dreaming a little bit, like what would the perfect week look like, and talking through that. So that's week 2. And then week 3 is diving even deeper into rituals, and like your morning ritual when you wake up, evening, I started adding one in the middle of my day, and making sure that where you're seeing those gaps in your schedule, finding things that will allow you to fill that and to be able to remain accountable with yourself. And so that is 3 weeks. It is 8 to 9:30 on Zoom. and they'll all be recorded. So if there's a week that you can't be there, it'll be recorded for you to watch the replay. Anybody that signs up tonight gets my Cyber Weekend pricing of $222. It then goes up to $333. And all you have to do is basically just claim that that's what you want to do. I am then gonna, once people sign up, I'll send out invoices and arrange payments and stuff tomorrow, and then you just would need to pay by Friday. So it's really just saying that you're in, and that's something you want to take on to really get your practices set up so that 2021 you're ready to go and you know what your intentions are. This will lead right into the 3-month course in January that I've talked to a few of you about. That's all, it's called Prosperity Consciousness. It's all about self-worth and how it relates to how you spend your time, your money, and how you give and receive love. It is a deeper dive than the accelerator was that a few of you were in with me last month. And it will really like dive deeper into so it's 3 weeks on, 1 week off each month. So you have a rest week. 2 of those weeks are content, and one of them is a really kind of in-depth ritual or meditation or prosperity healing. And that goes from January through March, and there's a few different tiers pricing for that too. And I will post in the chat my website that has all of that, as well as any product, anything that I have going on. So like my ritual kits, the planner is still up there because my plan is to do one more order. So if you know anybody that wanted a planner and didn't get it, that's the best way to do that. And I'll be placing the order before the course starts on Tuesday, next Tuesday.
The course is Wednesday or Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, okay.
Yep, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m.
Kelsey, I have a fun
Cool.
question.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, the colors that you use that are consistent in your planner and in your, you said in a couple other places like your Bible study or
Yep,
something.
my Google Calendar.
Your Google calendars and stuff.
Yeah.
What colors do you use for what?
Oh, so I use, let's see. There's a reason why the thing is at the top of all my pages. I never remember exactly what color it is. I just know when I see a lot of it, what it is. So I use pink for anything next level. I use orange for anything that's like a spiritual mastermind, because I have a few of those that create that balance for me. I do yellow, I believe is for work. Green is for work. Purple is for my bliss time. Blue is for family stuff. And it's just something that I know. And the family calendar that I built so that I could avoid the weekly, where are you at, what are you up to, especially when I was traveling a bunch. That all is blue too. So I set it up so that it feeds into my calendar well.
That's cool. I was just curious.
Yeah. Yep, I use all the colors.
I do the same. I have my blue, green, purple, yellow, orange, pink, and red. And I use them for the same thing in everything that I do.
Yeah. It made it really easy to like know where I'm at and what's going on next. But, cool. Any other questions? Perfect. I'm going to stop the recording.